Sports Center, it may be the NFL's worst division, but it is strangely and oddly compelling all the way through. The latest chapter between the Cowboys and Eagles is done. Jeff Saturday, Tim, Michael, Zubin here with you. Let's get right to it. It was the game everybody was talking about.
Yes, for all the wrong reasons.
True.
Because it shouldn't be this bad. But two 7-7 squads coming into this matchup, trying to get the upper hand. If the Cowboys win it, they are the NFC East champions. First quarter, Eagles up 3-zip. Carson Wentz, Dallas Goedert, and all of a sudden, the Eagles are up 10-zip, and everyone's wondering, where is that Cowboys fire, Tim? Are they going to have a response? Second half, you've got the opening drive, Prescott, Amari Cooper, and wow.
They're just off. I mean, everyone knows Dak's a little banged up coming in this game, but just no offense for Dallas.
So the ensuing drive for Philly, Carson Wentz going up top. Greg Ward Jr., he's wide open. 38-yard gain. That gets it inside the 20. And then third and goal situation, Jeff, you just run it right in the middle, right?
Right up the gut. Hey, you got 8 versus 7. Pretty good numbers right there, Mike. I mean, come on, walk the thing in.
Nice little early Christmas present for that fan. Eagles up 17-6, less than 4 to play. Cowboys down 17-9. Dak makes the connection with Randall Cobb through the hit, 21-yard gain. Dallas is moving. But here, Michael Gallup. It's 4th and 8. Amari Cooper not on the field for this play. Great play there on the defensive end for Philadelphia. And Jerry Jones like, all right, I'm going to head out because it is over. 17-9. So if the Eagles win next week in New York against the Giants, Philadelphia will win the division. The Cowboys are home against Washington. We'll talk more about that coming up a little bit later. You see the numbers there from Dak Prescott, 25 for 44, 265. Carson Wentz, 31 for 40, 319. But Zeke Elliott, only 13 carries for 47 yards. And at one crucial point in this game, he asked to come off the field, and the Cowboys ended up having a fumble on that drive. Right now, New Orleans Sports Center, Sal Paolantonio speaking with Zach Ertz.
Zach, let's talk about your defense first.
Yeah.
Kept them out of the end zone. How did they do it? From the sideline, you could see it.
Yeah, I mean, there was just so much energy from the start of the game. I think we made a point. We had to start fast against this team. The past 3 times, we've kind of let them play with the lead and allow Zeke to do his thing. So it was a point of emphasis to start fast, and we did that tonight, and I feel like that sets up our defense.
1st and 10 on the 20. Carson Wentz leads an 80-yard drive. What was the key there for that touchdown?
I think obviously efficiency on first down, and then I feel like the tempo helped us. I felt like that drive we kind of went a little faster, allowed the defense to kind of be on their heels. So overall, heck of a performance by Carson. He's just finding a way to win. 300 yards passing. I mean, a big home win, huge.
For you guys to move on now to play the New York Giants with a chance to sew up the division title, what does it mean for this football team?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a testament to the guys we have in the locker room. Obviously, 3 weeks ago, we were in a position that, I mean, really our backs were against the wall, and we had to find a way to win 3 games just to have an opportunity to play this one and make it count. So as a team, we just found a way. We stuck together, and I think we're playing our best football right now, and that's all that matters.
See you in New York, Zach.
All right, thanks, Al.
All right, back to you.
All right, Sal, appreciate it. And again, let's make this very simple for everybody. If the Eagles win next week in New York against the Giants, they win the division, they go to the playoffs. Dallas can only win the division if they beat Washington at home and the Eagles lose. All right, now ESPN's Football Power Index gives the Eagles a 71% chance to come out on top. And no matter who wins the division, they will be the number 4 seed once the playoffs start. So now we get through all the minutia of going forward. What about this game in particular, Jeff, stood out to you in terms of what was at stake for both these squads?
Well, I mean, you heard Zach Ertz talk about it, just having the opportunity to play to win it and then beating a rival that no one thought you would beat, including me. There's no chance I thought the Eagles had an opportunity. And then Carson Wentz putting this team on his back again and just making play after play. And I'm going to show you, listen, we saw him in the highlights, these little plays right here. This is Carson Wentz making it happen, all right? You're going to have a little in route and a little out and up on the outside. But just watch the way it times up. It works out perfectly as a play. Once it gets cranked up, you're going to move inside. And right here, you put this defender in a bad shape. But look, if you look at Carson Wentz, he's already seen this thing. Ball is in the air, drops it into Ward Jr., who, again, takes a play, moves it down, huge play for the Eagles. And then this. I honestly, I got no idea what the Cowboys are doing. I mean, listen, just simple math, right? I mean, if we're just going to touch guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll do the quick math here. This is 8 guys, okay? So offensive football tells you we can run this thing, we can walk it in, we can do anything we want. This is a literal walk-in the end zone. You cannot allow that to happen. And heaven forbid if Carson Wentz pulls that thing when the end crashes down.
Right. Either way.
Two-way go.
Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, I mean, this is the biggest game of the season, and you just showed up flat. You just got outplayed offensively, defensively. It's a disappointing effort, I think, when you think about the Cowboys, and you said it earlier, Yves, about Elliott, man. I mean, how you give that guy 13 touches with a quarterback who's banged up, you're going to let him throw it 40-something times? I don't know, man. I just from the perspective of an offensive lineman, I would not have been happy. I can tell you that. I know going in, we are going to ground and pound it. We're going to keep the hottest player in our division being Carson Wentz on the bench as often as we can. And it's 17-9. This is not like this was a track meet that you had to compete in. This was a game that you fully had ability to win it had you just stuck to what you would do well, and they didn't perform.
Tim, it seems like what Jeff is saying right now is what Cowboy fans and the media have been saying so many times after their games. What were they doing? What were they thinking? What was the scheme? What was the strategy based on what was at stake here?
Where was the fire? Where was the sense of urgency of what was at stake? I mean, I like Jeff thought, and I think I was sitting here last week being like, look, when they play their best, they're almost as good as anybody.
Absolutely.
They have talented players.
Yes.
Look, the Zeke thing is 100% correct. Now, is that because they just weren't calling enough runs for him, or he wanted out? You alluded to that, and I don't know if he was banged up in the game, and that was part of the reason that he wasn't out there. But yeah, that's not the identity of that team. That team was in kind of a spread shotgun look for much of that game. That's just not who they are. I don't think. That's not when they're at their best. Last Sunday, we were sitting here talking about how they had 2 backs go for over 100 yards.
Right.
And how impressive was that? And it was like, okay, we know who they are and who they can be. Well, they didn't even try to be that tonight.
Right.
This is the first time since the Cowboys have had Ezekiel Elliott in a game that Elliott has played in, with all the suspensions that he's had, that the Eagles have finally vanquished the Cowboys. So when Zeke was in there playing against the Eagles, check mark, automatic Dallas before today. I just want to switch the paradigm a little bit because there's been so much joking this week about somebody having to win this division with such an ugly record. What did Philly show you today, if anything, that could say, you know what? Maybe they could be in line for a deep postseason run that maybe a week ago today people would have said, come on, no way.
No quit. I mean, listen, if you look at this football team, I wrote them off. I'm assuming most people wrote them off. They will not. They're not going to quit. They're not going to quit as a football team. They're going to trust each other. Carson Wentz, who hasn't had his best year, all of a sudden is hot. And about players who hadn't caught a pass at the beginning of the season, all of a sudden these guys are getting open. And whether it's Doug Peterson in the play calls, or if it's Carson Wentz, or if it's Sanders running the rock, whatever it is, it seems like it's working. And they're finding that kind of flow that they found even when Foles was playing, back in the playoffs. And this is, let's not forget, this is Carson Wentz really first time in this type of environment when it's all on the line. We've seen him get kind of banged up and somebody else had to come in. He played lights out again. We showed it when it mattered most. He's got no back down in him. I mean, whether he's got to pull it down and go run it for 8 yards and get him in a 3rd and 2 instead of a 3rd and long, he's doing it all. And you can tell that team is buying in to the mission at hand. I was shocked at the game, but I'm impressed as well from the Eagles, the way they played. When you find a team that believes like they believe. Now the question is, do they only believe because they were beating the Cowboys, right? Yeah. Can you continue this thing? You got some really good teams in the NFC. Do you believe you can match up with these guys? Man, I mean, tonight was an inspired effort, in my opinion.
What do you think, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, do I believe in them against some of these?
Right.
No.
Probably don't. Now, I think there are obviously some things that have happened there in the past between, their head coach and some members of that team that probably feel like they have that belief and that hope that they can get on a run. But, when I look at, when you look at their receivers, you look at some of the mistakes up front, you look at, guys in and out of the lineup in the secondary at times. I mean, Yeah, I think that would be tough when you're playing the Saints.
Right.
I think that's going to be tough when you're playing the 49ers.
I agree.
That's how I would see it.
But for them, based on what's happened to them this season, even in this position,
we're joking around. We're joking around. Hey, someone has to win the division.
Yeah.
Winning your division is a very big deal.
That's always the goal.
It's the number one goal in 32 locker rooms at the start of the season.
right.
So that's the reality of it.
Even if you win it at 8-8, you still win the division.
Still win.
All right? Fair enough.
You know what they call the guy that graduated in the bottom of his class from medical school?
A graduate, a doctor.
That's what they call him.
Boy, Mike.
That's what they call him.
Dad jokes out here. All right, we saw Jerry Jones heading out from his luxury box there. He was going to talk